Alright, so this tutorial is just about all the tools on the left hand side here for Photoshop. Now, first tool here, selection tool, pretty simple. Whatever layer you're on, that's where you can move stuff around. Pretty basic. Next one, marquee tool. Now, any tool in Photoshop that has a little triangle in the corner means that there's other tools in there. So if I right click, I can go into elliptical marquee instead of the rectangular one. Okay, so if I go to a layer, let's say I want this layer, and I can make my shape, and then you can do a few things with it. Well, a bunch of things actually. If you go to the selection tool, you can move it, you can copy it and paste it. So then if you see down here, if I get rid of that, I just have that piece that I just dealt with left. I can also take a section that I highlighted here and I can move it to another project. So I can dump it in over here, boom, and then I can move that in another project. So if you're going to chop out somebody's head or body or whatever, you can do it like that. You can also go to image adjustments, and you can go here and you can change different things within there. It's not really adjusting very well, but because I have a blend mode on that layer already. But you can see that if you mess with any of those things, it'll just mess with whatever's in your selection area. Same thing with later on, when we're going to talk about the brush tool, you can use the brush tool and it won't go out of that selection area, the area that you've selected. So there's a bunch of things that you can do within there, but those are the absolute basics. I'm going to step back, and if I click away, if I'm on that tool and I have a circle already, I can just click somewhere else and it'll get rid of it. Lasso tool, basically the exact same thing, except now I can actually select a zone that I want to deal with, like draw it out and not just a shape. And then I can go back here and click and get rid of that. Within here, there's the polygonal lasso, so if I want to make my own shape, same thing. When you get close to the end, you hit enter and it'll close up your shape. Exact same thing. You can do all the same things with that. And then if you want to get even more detailed, you can use the magnetic lasso, and that's really where the one that you'd use to cut out somebody's head or body or whatever to put it onto another project. And I'll show you an example of that. So if we go here, this tool, pretend this is somebody's head and there's a background like a forest or whatever. If it's a clear contrast, it will help find the contrast edges. So it'll help find the edges. Now it's not perfect, but you can see here the more contrast where there's the dark and the orange, it was better than over on the other side where I started with the brown and the orange because they were close. When you get to the end, you hit enter and it'll close it out. So you can see here the black and the orange, when it was a high contrast, was very quick and good. This side a little bit rough over here. So that wouldn't have been a good one. I'd have to start again. If you're using that, if you click, every time you click, you can make your own points. So if you know it's a trouble area, you can click, 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 and then when you get back to the high contrast, you can not click if you don't want to. And then you can do the exact same thing with those. Copy it, paste it, move it over, whatever you got to do. Another basic tool that you're going to use quite often is probably the, actually I'll go here, is probably the magic wand, which is next. And the magic wand is basically, if I click on a color, everything that's attached, all the red that's attached to what I clicked on will be all highlighted. And then I can, again, the same thing, I can copy it, paste it, adjust it, do whatever I have to do with it, clear it out. So another example of that would be on this layer. If I clicked on here, it would select all the orange and not that. If I went to, where's my Sean layer? Can't see it there. But anyway, oh, right here, Sean layer. If I went and I clicked on it, it would just select all the A right there, just all the W, because that's all the red that's attached. It wouldn't select all the red, just the red that's attached to whatever I clicked on. Go back to the marquee and click away. Don't worry about this. And we got the brush tool. I did a whole tutorial on the brush tool, so I'm going to keep this quick. It's pretty simple. If you're going to draw on your layer here, you just draw with it. The color that you want is right there, so I can flip that, or if I click on it, I can get a different color. And then up here, you can change the size of the brush. You can change what type of brush it is, a circle brush, a fancy brush, whatever, and blur the edges, make it see-through, whatever it is. So I can draw with this, and so I'll show you a fancy brush. So let's say I did a butterfly brush. The butterfly brush, so there's some cool brushes in there that you can mess with. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can change in your brush or brush presets over here. And you can change a whole bunch of things, how spread out they are, so I can space these out even more. You can see the butterflies separating or make them closer together. There's a whole bunch of things that you can mess with in there as well for each brush. Don't worry about this, don't worry about this. Here's the eraser, so basically the opposite of the brush. So if I want to erase this, I just get in here, and it'll only erase the layer that you're selected on. So notice I was selected on just layer 8, so it didn't erase any of the Sean or anything, so just the layer that you're on. And again, same thing there, you can pick a fancy eraser. So if I clicked on that one, now on this layer, I can, we'll pick a fancier one, maybe this one. So I can actually erase with a texture if I want. And if we move that one over, you can see it actually just erased through, and you can put, you can do cool things through there with the eraser. Gradient. Gradient is basically what I did here, and all it is, so it's this tool right here, gradient, and you can pick different types of gradients here, but I'll leave it on this circle one for now. Actually, I'll change it to this because this was the circle one. And then all you do is you click in here, and you can pick a preset up here, or you can change your own color. So if you click on this box and you click on the color, you can change it to something else. And then all you do is you basically just draw a line. So on this one, if I just draw a line, that'll give me my gradient. So a small line will make it different. You can change the direction of it. If I went back to the circle one, I would make a sun in the corner there, and there's my gradient. Don't worry about these ones. Now if we right click in here, you got your blur tool, sharpen tool, smudge tool. I'll make tutorials on those at another time. They sometimes show up. Dodge tool, burn tool, sponge tool, same thing. Same thing for pen tool. It's a little bit complicated, and I will show you how to use the pen tool and look for its own pen tutorial. And then I also have one for text here, but text is pretty easy. You just draw a box and you type, and Schwab, and it's just like anything else. You highlight it, you can change the color, you can change the size, change the font. And as we learned another time on the other tutorial, if you right click and go to blending options, you can change a whole bunch of other stuff with it, put outlines and whatever. Okay, and then shape tool, so rectangle, pretty obvious here. The fill color is what ends up inside, and then the stroke is what ends up on the outside, and then you can make it fatter, and you can change what type of thing it is. Now, just like the brush, oh, I didn't even say in the brush, but like the brush, anytime there's a little wheel like this, you can click on the wheel, and you can get more options, so you can see if there's anything else. Now, for this, there's not much else in here, but you can go to the center. There's a bunch of things that you can do here, but I'll go back to the brush for a second. For the brush, if you click on here, you can go to this little wheel, and there's a whole bunch of other brushes that you click on one, you can click append, and it'll add them to the bottom. So now we have a couple other cool brushes that I'll do on this layer. I'll make this as a bigger brush, and oh, look at that. So another brush that we've added by just clicking on that little circle. Anytime there's this little circle wheel thing, you can add more. But for shapes, the way you get more options is if you go to custom shape tool, you'll see this little box will appear. So, and the same thing, there's all these shapes in here, but you can go to the wheel and you can get more. Click append, and it'll add that to the end, and it'll be the same colors here. So I'm going to make this white this time, and I'll make this the stroke yellow, and I'll make it and I'll keep it a dotted line like this. And again, you can make your shape, and then boom, it'll fill it in with the colors that you've picked in the outline. So that's a whole bunch of shapes in there that you can deal with. And then you can do same thing. You can do blending options and stuff with that layer. Don't with those stuff. This is your color, and that's pretty much it for your quick. That wasn't super quick. That was 10 minutes, but all the tools in here to deal with.